and who are able to share their story. And I think we paid for Naosherwan and Rookie's uh, move over here to New Jersey so we could add one more to our numbers. So we got, one more additional from this country. But actually, I'm going to ask Narshawan, questions. So I think you'll get a real sense of the introduction uh, as he shares and answers what I say. And if along the way you have any questions, don't hesitate. But I'm going to start out right away with his parents. And I wanted to find out, what were your parents seeking God? Did Baba fall in their lap? Your background is Zoroastrian. They don't normally believe traditionally in spiritual masters or God in human form. So how did your folks get caught up in Baba's net?
Jai Meher Baba to my family in both the East and the West. It's wonderful to be here. Beloved Baba would have called it his savas. And that's how I feel this evening, to be in his presence. Jeff, there are two parallel stories here. There's my father's story and then my mother's story. And my mother was from Karachi, Pakistan at that time. And my father was from Navsari, India. And my father, I'll first narrate a little bit about my father. He was a very devout Zoroastrian to a point where he wouldn't let anything else interfere in his devotion to Zoroaster. And it was when he joined the Singer Sewing Machine Company at a very young age. I believe he was 18 years old at that time. And he came to Dehradun to take over the Singer Sewing Machine Company in Dehradun. And that's when he met a traveling salesman for Siba. Siba was a pharmaceutical company, and he met this traveling salesman whose name was Keki Desai. And you may have heard that name. His daughter lives in Bombay. She's married to a Baba lover as well. And so he used to come often to Dehradun, and when he found out that there was another Parsi whose name was Keki Nalavala, he connected with him and mentioned Baba's name. So how did that name come up was that my father had a physical problem, and he was very distraught as a result of that problem. And Keki said, all you need to do is to write a letter to Shri Meher Baba, and Shri Meher Baba will solve all your physical problem. So my father did as he was told, because he didn't have an option. So he was under treatment, of course. He didn't hear from Meher Baba or from any of his mandli. And he said, next time Keki Desai visited him, he says, what kind of a master do you have who doesn't even respond to the suffering that I'm going through? In any case, he had some vacation time, so he went back to Navsari, and that's when he contacted his old school teacher, who mentioned Meher Baba's name to him and handed him a little booklet called Sayings of Meher Baba. Sayings of Shri Meher Baba. In those days, Meher Baba was called Shri Meher Baba. Shri meaning Mr. It's a Hindi word, Shri. So, but he didn't really pay any attention to this little booklet. And he came back and came back to Dehradun. And that's when he heard that Meher Baba was planning to visit Dehradun for a day to contact musts. My father didn't have a clue what musts were or God intoxicated souls. And but he was very curious. He wanted to meet Meher Baba, see Meher Baba. So Baba would always send a reconnaissance team ahead of time. So he had sent Papa Jasawala, which is Irit Jasawala's father, Chanji, Dara Chanji, Paramrose Dara Chanji, also known as Chanji, and Baidul, who you know was known as a must hunter. So these three were the reconnaissance. I'd like to digress a little bit over here to give you an idea of how Meher Baba contacted musts.
Naosherwan? One second. What we're talking around 1950, 1949?
1941.
1941, okay.
Yeah, 1941. But I wanted to mention to you that you always find that Baba went to such and such place, contacted musts here, there, he met this must, that must. Now the question comes up, how did he meet these musts? How did he know about these musts? So this reconnaissance team would get in touch with people in that particular town. Are there any Parsis there? Are there any Baba lovers there? Are there any people who have heard about Meher Baba? They would get in touch with them and they would give them a questionnaire. And this questionnaire would be, are there any fairs and festivals here held in this town? Are there any religious festivals held? Are there any saints, Mahatmas, yogis coming for a fair? So these were a number of questions that were asked because people didn't know what musts were or what God intoxicated souls were. So these questionnaires would be given to them, and my father was given this questionnaire as well. So then they would answer these questions and send it back to Baba, and contacts were made by these people who came to get in touch with these God-intoxicated souls. And then Meher Baba would come and get in touch with them. This is just a little digression to let you know how Baba would come in contact with all these God-intoxicated souls. In any case, so then in 1941, my father was very anxious to meet Baba, but Baba would not meet anyone at that time. So he begged and pleaded of Papa Jasawala. He said, just give me a glimpse of this man. But Papa Jasawala said, there is nothing I can do. So he said, all I can do is I can take you in front of the house, and if you're lucky, you'll see him. If not, well, so be it. So all he saw for the first time was under the short curtain, he saw Baba's feet. That was all that he saw for the first time. Then this was on one of the must trips that Baba had come. Then in 1942, Baba came again. And this time, now both my father, his name was Keki Nalavala, and the other person that I was telling you about, his name was Keki Desai. Keki Desai was from Delhi, and my father was from Dehradun. And both of them had not seen Meher Baba. Although Keki Desai was devoted to Baba, very much wanted to see him. So finally, they persuaded Papa Jasawala, just a glimpse of him. So he says, but what you must promise me is that you will not, it's just a glimpse. You will not ask him any questions. You will not say anything. You will just put your hands together, bow down, and that's it. So both of them were terribly worried. they were meeting a spiritual master for the first time, both devoted Zoroastrians. So they both went to a bar and had a few beers to fortify themselves. And then they went to see Baba. And the moment they saw Baba, Baba just raised his hands and blessed them from a distance. But my father was particularly bowled over. At that moment, he felt that he was seeing Zoroaster because that was who he was devoted to. They both were Zoroastrians. So that was the first glimpse that they had of Meher Baba. Jeff, now I'll talk about my mother a little bit.
Yeah, yes.
Somebody wants to know what beer.
Well, Naosherwan didn't. Now, I heard your father share this story where they actually got a little bit drunk. And then word came that Baba wanted to see them. And he said that they were drunk and he was worried to show up to Baba drunk. But as he got closer and closer to the house, he sobered up. Is that right?
No, they had a couple of beers, but and they both had good capacity for alcohol. So I'm sure that they must have managed to look sane.
Yeah.
But what was I referring to earlier?
You're going to talk about your mom.
Yeah, my mom. Now, my mother was in Karachi. Remember, my father and mother were not married at that time. So I gave you a little scenario about my father, and then there was my mother in Karachi, which is in Pakistan. At that time, it was India. So my mother heard about Meher Baba from a young girl in her school, and they all used to sing songs about Meher Baba. And there used to be little songs about Zoroaster and Meher, and this young girl who had known about Meher Baba, who was in my mother's school, would sing these little ditties or little songs in which they would have Meher Baba's name. So when my mother would go home, she would sing these songs. And her mother would chide her that, we are Zoroastrians. You shouldn't be talking about these Mahatmas and yogis and others, and they're not good people to talk about or repeat their name. But my mother would innocently sing songs that this young girl would share with her. In any case, as days went by, my father and my mother, they send out these proposals. So my father's sister used to live in Karachi. So a proposal came to my father's sister, and he said, I have a lovely girl for you, and her name is Freni. So Freni Modi. So that was my mother's maiden name. So then there was a match, photographs were exchanged and so forth. And so when the first time my father and mother met, everybody warned my mother that, he is a follower of Meher Baba. And in those days, the story used to go around that anybody who married or were married into Meher Baba family, they would leave their homes, their children, their husbands and wives, and go and live with Meher Baba. And this used to be the rumor that used to go around. So everybody had warned my mother that if your husband is a follower of Meher Baba, you better watch out, because he will dump the family and go and live with Meher Baba. In fact, I'll tell you a little interesting aside that happened with me. In 19, which year was this? In 1974, I think, or something, I was in Karachi, and we had a Baba meeting, a very large Baba meeting there. And at the end of my talk, I offered anyone to go and anyone to give me a question, ask me a question. So there was a Parsi gentleman sitting there. He raised his hand and he said, I believe that if you come to Meher Baba, you leave your family, you leave your father, your mother, your wives, your husband, and you go and live in his ashram. How could you come here and speak to all these families here about Meher Baba? He angrily spoke to me. So a very interesting thing happened at that moment. I did not respond to this man directly. Sitting next to him was a Baba lover couple, and it was Hawovi and Hoshang Dadachandji. This was in the Gohar family home that we were having the meeting. And in fact, I see Gohar sitting right there. So I said, sir, I'm not going to answer this question. I am going to let this couple who are sitting next to you, because when I asked him, who were the people you are referring to who left their family, their homes, and went and joined Meher Baba, he said the Darachandji family. And I said, I'm not going to answer this question because I want the couple next to you to answer this question. I said, this is Hawovi and Hoshang Darachandji. The man was taken aback, and they said there was nothing of that sort that ever happened. Our entire family was devoted to Meher Baba, and we went to be in his presence. So this was an awkward situation that I could have faced, but Baba came to the rescue. So there was a lot of antagonism towards Meher Baba in Karachi, a lot of antagonism. And there were publications that were against Meher Baba, and there were families against Meher Baba, and so forth. So, so Jeff, what would be your next question? So then, of course, my mother and father got married, and then they moved to Dehradun, where my father had his business, and then my mother had her sewing and embroidery and cutting school. So,
what about your mother's? Do you know your mother's first meeting with Baba and her impressions and experience?
Yes. So my mother was once she got married, she told my father that, you know, I've heard terrible things about this man, Meher Baba, that families have been split, husbands and wives have been separated, and so on and so forth. And I want you to be very careful of him, and so forth. So when Baba came to Dehradun, my father told my mother that it's okay if you don't come to see him, but all I want you to do is cook for him and his mandli. There were 4 of them who had come. So my mother said, fine, I'll do that. But she was very, very devoted to Zoroaster. And So was my father. But my mother was a little wary of Meher Baba because of all these stories that they had heard, that husbands leave their wives and they join Meher Baba's ashram and they join the mandali and so forth. But then what happened was that my father told my mother that Meher Baba and 4 of his disciples would come and have lunch at our home in Dehradun, which was 36 Lytton Road, which eventually became the headquarters of Meher Baba's new life. And my mother, all she was supposed to do was cook for him and his 4 companions. And that he came, and it altered my mother's consciousness completely the moment she set her eyes on him. She saw him as Zoroaster.
What year was this now? 1950?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to find out, how old are you at this time?
Oh dear.
Roughly.
You want me to shout out from the rooftops? I was born in 1946. I'm going to let you all calculate.
You were what?
I was born in 1946.
Uh-huh. Okay, so now here's what I'm curious about your first meeting with Baba. Now, before you met Baba, did your parents give you any idea of who you were meeting? That you were meeting a master, or you were meeting this nice man, or you're meeting God himself? What did you have any preconceptions as a little kid who you were going to be meeting? Do you recall?
I was 2 months old when Baba came to Dehradun.
Oh, okay.
I was 2 months old, and he and my parents had invited him for lunch along with his 4 companions. And Baba picked me up in his hands, and throughout his stay, he kept holding me and went from room to room in the house. And he had lunch, and my mother was very, very deeply touched by the love that Baba was showering on me and my sister Maharuk. My sister's name was Maharuk, as is my wife's name, Maharuk. So my mother was very deeply touched. And my father at that moment figured that I was his. And that was when I was 2 months old.
So let's go to your next, your first conscious meeting of Baba. By then, what had you been told about Baba? How old were you when you saw him next?
I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And that was 1950, and that was the new life. And I came closest to him when what had happened was that Baba initially came, when he first came in the new life, he stayed at a place called Mafi Majri, which is now known as Meher Mafi. This was where Shatrughan and Subhadra Kumar lived. And Baba stayed in a cottage over there for some time. And then he moved. He was on his way to Delhi. But in Delhi, where he was going to stay, that house was not ready. So he had to stay for several months in Dehradun. In the town. My father was asked to find a house for him. So as it turned out, my father was able to find a house bang opposite our home. So we were at 36 Lytton Road, and Meher Baba was accommodated at 39 Lytton Road, which was across the street from us. Now, 39 Lytton Road was, before Baba came there, was the dispensary of Dr. William Donkin.
Hey, you know
And
I'm on a Zoom session, okay?
and
I'm on a Zoom.
so that was the dispensary of Dr. William Donkin, one of Baba's disciples, and he had this dispensary for a period of time. During the New Life, everybody had to work, and Dr. Donkin was, this dispensary was opened up for Dr. Donkin, and Baba had instructed that all Baba lovers should go and be treated by him. He never used to charge anyone. And eventually the dispensary was shut down. And then Baba and some of the women mandli moved to this dispensary. So that was initially the my first earliest recollection of seeing Meher Baba.
Now, unfortunately I got a phone call in the middle of this, but can you describe your first conscious meeting of Baba? I mean, what your impressions were, if you can remember them, when you were 5 years old, and where did you actually go and see him?
Okay, so that I'm going to let all of you figure out based on the story that I'm about to mention. So while my father and mother were given certain designated times for them to come and visit Meher Baba on certain days of the week, I had been given blanket permission as a 5-year-old to walk in and out of Meher Baba's house whenever I felt like it. Some of the women, the Mera and Mani, were also there in that same house. So across the road from us. So I would walk over whenever I felt like, or whenever I wanted a snack of any kind or something to eat. So one day I walk over and Mani meets me at the door, and she says, and she asks me, "Oh, Naosherwan, you've come?" I said, "Yes, I wanted to see Baba." "Where is Baba?" And Mani says, "He's in the next room, resting." So I ask Mani, "Can I see him?" And she says, "Why don't you go and..." No. Then she says, "He's in the next room." So I go into the next room and I see Baba lying on the floor on a very thin mattress-like thing. It wasn't a mattress, it was just a covering. So I go in. Now, this is a story that Mani has narrated, and it appears in one of the books, this whole story. I heard it first from Mani. So I go in and I ask Baba, there is conversation between Baba and me. Baba was silent, I was speaking. I come out and Mani asks me, "Did you..." No, I had asked Mani earlier, "Why is Baba sleeping on the floor?" And Mani said, "Why don't you go and ask Baba?" So I go in and I ask Baba, whatever I did as a 5-year-old. I come out and Mani says, "Did you ask Baba?" And I said, "Yes, Baba told me why he's sleeping on the floor." Now, this appears in a book where Mani is trying to tell the people gathered in the Mandli hall that Baba does not need to use words to explain himself. A 5-year-old boy can communicate with Meher Baba and understand why his actions are the way they are. And this was Mani's narration of the story. So that's how I got this story about me and Meher Baba.
But what explanation did Baba give for lying on the floor on a thin mat? Do you recall?
I was 5 years old. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But I guess it's good enough for posterity.
Yeah. Now, when you were like seeing Baba like this, who did you think he was? Did you even try to think of who he was, or you just loved being with him?
I just loved being with him. And Meher Baba had an incredible knack of drawing little children to him. Like, for example, he would play little games with us. He would put his fingers together around his hand and ask us to pull his big finger, and he would play little games with us. This was his way of attracting little children to him, and they would be very, very devoted to him and want to play with him. And once Baba asked me to play the tabla on the dining table, and I played, and my sister, who was also there, she sang a little song in Hindi. So, and then every time you did something for Baba, he would invariably give you a gift. And we have those gifts in beloved archives even today. He gave my sister and me a small little purse with his picture photograph in it. Then he gave us a pen, a ballpoint pen. He would always give little children a small gift, and that would please him.
Now, what will you most remember most, his eyes or his smile or his beaming face, or do you recall his whole manner? What, as a little boy, can you recall, like his eyes or his smile?
As a 5-year-old, I don't recall. I loved him in his entirety.
Beautiful. So then when was the next time you met him?
Well, then then I went through a series of experiences of separation and so forth. And the next time I met him, of course, I also saw him the next time I saw him was in 1953, when he came there for a year. And at that time, I spent a great deal of time with him. When he was staying at a place called 101 Rajpur Road in Dehradun for a long period of time. And there are lots of stories of that period.
Can you remember any of them? I mean,
well, I remember one when this was September, I believe it was September 3rd, 1953. It was Zoroaster's birthday. And Baba was holding a darshan, program. Baba was, during his stay in Dehradun, he was in seclusion for many, many days. He was in strict seclusion. And nobody was allowed to see him. He would walk from 101 Rajpur Road, which was on one side of the road. He would walk across the road to a small hut that was constructed for him, and he would sit in that hut in seclusion for nearly a year. It was an intense period of seclusion. It was a very important period of his seclusion at that time. And I'll tell you a little story about this seclusion. What happened was that Baba had issued strict instructions that nobody nobody should come near him or seek his blessings or come to him at any cost. And that he was doing tremendous amount of universal spiritual work, and nobody should disturb him. So every day he would go from the house, he would walk across, he would cross the road and go to this jhopri or this hut, and he would sit in this hut. And Aloba would put an umbrella over his head and walk him over across the road, and Baba would go and sit in seclusion in that jhopri. Jhopri means hut. So one day what happened was that as Baba was about to cross the road to go to the jhopri, to go to the hut, a car comes and blocks his pathway. And off jump a man and a woman. And the woman was in a crazed state of mind. Her hair was wild, her sari had fallen, she was like a mad woman. And this man comes and falls at Baba's feet and says, Baba, help me, please. I beg of you. My wife is deranged. My wife has lost her mental consciousness. Help her, Baba. I'm devoted to you. I'm a devoted follower of you. So Baba tells him, look, this is a very important period of my seclusion. I cannot bless you. I cannot bless you. Oh no, Baba, but Baba, just bless her once, just bless me so that she is healed, Baba. Please, I beg of you, bless her. She says, again, I'm repeatedly asking you, don't ask for my blessings in this special period of my seclusion. Oh no, but Baba, but Baba, what will I do without your blessings? Baba, just bless her. Please bless her. So Baba then says, okay, I will bless you, but you will lose me. And oh, but Baba, how can I lose you? I'm so devoted to you. I'm so much in love with you. How can I lose you? And Baba says, go now. The man's wife was cured of her madness. He became a wealthy man, but he never, ever came to see Baba again. So he got everything he wanted, but he lost Meher Baba. So this was a little anecdote that I thought I would mention to you. What was the context in this?
Well, I was wondering of the next time you saw Baba, which was a couple years later.
Yes.
Any of those like episodes
Right.
in which you saw Baba?
Right.
Yeah.
So this was the meeting. This was the day when Meher Baba gave the highest of the high message. And the highest of the, every message that Meher Baba gave has a story behind it. Always remember that. Meher Baba never gave out a message out of the blue. It had a context. Baba's message of the highest of the high, this was the context of the message of the highest of the high. You think I'm a Mahapurush? You think I'm a yogi, a Mahatma? No, I'm the highest of the high. So this was the basis. This story that I've narrated to you was the basis of this message that he gave on Zoroaster's birthday in Dehradun. So this was in the afternoon, the darshan program, but in the morning, Baba had invited the Nalavala family for breakfast at 101 Rajpur Road, where he was staying. And so my mother, my sister, myself were invited. We were children at that time. But my father was not permitted to come to see the women monthly. But my father came because at that time, Mani and Mera and the other women monthly used to sew clothes, and they needed help with repairs. My father was with the Singer Sewing Machine Company. So he knew how to fix sewing machines. So he was there to fix the sewing machine. And we went inside to be with Baba. So we were invited to be with Baba to celebrate Zoroaster's birthday. So we all sat and tea was served and rava was made. I don't know whether you know what rava is, but it was something like semolina or made with flour. It's a sweet dish that Parsis make on birthdays and special occasions. So rava was made. Baba with his own hands gave rava to each one of us. And then Baba stood. Then what happens is among the Zoroastrians and even among the Hindus, there was some a chalk, a little bit of chalk put on the floor, and Baba stood on it, and Mera put a little tika on Baba's head and said, "Happy birthday, Baba," because Baba is Zoroaster. She was celebrating Zoroaster's birthday, and it was Mer Baba's birthday as well. So she celebrated Zoroaster's birthday by putting a little tika or a kumkum on Baba's forehead. And I was a little boy at that time, so I said, "And why is my birthday not being celebrated?" So Mera said, "Yes, why not?" So I stood on the little platform, and she put kumkum and rice on my head, and that's the way we celebrated Zoroaster's birthday on that particular day. And then Baba said, "I'd like to have some music." And my sister used to learn Indian classical songs, and I was learning the tabla. So I played the tabla on the dining table, and my sister sang a song. And then at the end of it, Baba gave us a little gifts of a little pen and a little wallet and so forth. So this is how Baba's birthday was celebrated on that day in 1953. And then all of us then walked to 101 Rajpur Road, where you'll see a film of Baba in Dehradun. It's Mer Baba in Dehradun. If you've seen that film, you'll see my father standing next to Baba, and he was in charge of the bookstore. And so I remember on that day, we little children got together and wanted more and more prasad because Baba was giving sweetmeats. So we would get into the line over and over again, and Baba would pat us on the cheek and say, "You've come again for prasad. You've come again for prasad." So I remember that little time that we had with him.
So Naosherwan, let me ask you, by this time, what were you? Who were you thinking Baba was? Or did you even give it a thought at that point?
No, there was no way that I could put a name to it. I just loved him deeply and wanted to be in his presence all the time. And that was the experience with most children. They just wanted to be in his presence all the time. And that's what I wanted to do.
Beautiful. Yeah, lovely. Did he ask you to do, besides, the music and everything, did he ask you to do anything in your personal life at that age?
No, not at that age. But then one of my strongest recollection was when he was leaving Dehradun. When he was leaving Dehradun, I did not take it well. it was a terrible pangs of separation. And I remember my sister telling us that she saw a halo around Baba's head, which was something that none of us understood at that time. But because we often saw halos around the head of Ram, Krishna, so forth, she happened to see a halo around Baba's head. And we all felt she was very fortunate to see that halo. But I took it very, very badly, Baba leaving Dehradun at that time. It was a terrible feeling of separation. And from that point onwards, my life started going downhill.
You were about 7 at that point, or?
About 7, yes, exactly, 7.
Mm-hmm. And in what way did it go downhill?
Well, couldn't bear the pangs of separation from Meher Baba. And wanted to be in his presence. And as the days went by, wanted to be more and more with him. And as the days went by, couldn't concentrate on my studies. And when I was a little older, in my teens, I decided to renounce everything and be with Baba. And that was a different phase that I went through. Jeff, how long are we going to be talking? Because then I can wait myself out.
I had this one thought. You have a lot of things. It would be great to have you, we can go up until, say, 11 o'clock in another 10 minutes, but it'd be wonderful to have you another time. So we don't want to for you to run through everything.
No,
so we can get you again. Yeah. You know, you could pick up, you know, I mean, you have a whole long life with Baba, so we can get part 2 next time, maybe part 3 in a future time, you know?
That might be better.
We're not going to let you get, you know, it's amazing. Some of you people have been sharing your life with Baba for the last 60 years. It's incredible. But what do you say? What's your thought? Another up to 11 o'clock?
Beg your pardon?
How you feel about going? Is 11 o'clock?
Today?
Go ahead till 11, huh?
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, if it runs a little over, no big deal. But this way, we'll have more for next time. So, but you you jumped from, you know, 7 years old to your teenage years. But did you write Baba during that period after when Baba left when you were 7? Did you have a chance to write Baba or get your family get any communications with Baba?
Baba used to issue instructions to his dear ones not to write letters to him or to communicate with him, because he was used to be in seclusion. We used to maintain silence on July 10th every year, but he did not encourage us to write to him. But when I became a teenager, that was the time when it became impossible for me to be separate from him or to be away from him. And I decided that I would renounce everything, renounce my parents, renounce my studies, and join Meher Baba in Mehrazad. And that's a whole new chapter of my life.
you want to, I know what, let's save that for next time. But
Okay.
let me ask you, and you know, these are personal questions I'm asking, but what is your, what is your experience of Baba now?
I feel his presence constantly in my life. And more so, running Beloved Archives, I feel that he is present with me, and I'm able to deal with every issue with his presence in my life. Like, to give you one example, the current issue of the Glow, that some of you may have seen or received. Yes, that issue of the Glow came about as a result of featuring diaries of people who were in Meher Baba's presence. And I could feel his actual presence in my life as I was doing this particular issue. I could actually feel his presence in my life doing this particular issue. Hmm? And I could feel that he was looking over me, and that this was something that I could share with people, who were my subscribers, who wanted to read about Meher Baba.
And these are like diaries that different people over
Yes,
the years, and they gave them to you, and you've been able to,
yes.
uh, beautiful.
And I had this experience this time. Um, I came across the diary of a disciple of Sri Aurobindo. And for those of you who have not heard of Sri Aurobindo, he was the spiritual master. And Baba said he was on the fifth plane of consciousness. So I had come across his diary, which I had in Beloved Archives for a very long time. But I never thought of using it in the Glow. And then I came across somebody who had met Aurobindo and his disciples, and there were references to Baba in their conversation. And I figured now is the time for me to put this discussion that Aurobindo had with his disciples about Meher Baba in the Glow. Although I had this transcript for years and years and years, but I had never used it in the Glow. And I wrote to the people in the Aurobindo ashram to say that I wanted to feature this. And they were so warm, loving, and forthcoming, giving me permission, sending me photographs of Aurobindo. And I was able to feature this in the latest issue of The Glow, the one on the diaries.
Beautiful.
So these were little breakthroughs that I often get while working on the Glow. These are little gifts that Baba gives me.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's see. You know, we have you up to, up to your renunciation of the world, and we'll get you to share that next time. Let me ask you. Well, let's see. What would you say in your life? I mean, now this is personal. You can, what are the biggest challenge you would say that you had in your life with Baba? The biggest challenge in keeping his presence with you, whatever, but the biggest challenge.
To answer your question, having his presence in my life has never been an issue. I feel his presence all the time. And I feel that his presence is in the life of each one of you all the time. You just have to reach out and touch him. The biggest challenge is, what is my biggest challenge in relation to Meher Baba is how to continue to share him with everyone all the time. My mind, my little brain is constantly filled with thoughts and ideas as to how can I share Meher Baba with people all over the world. And that is why you see me coming up with all kinds of ideas and thoughts, and sometimes they're harebrained, but often wanting to share Meher Baba with everybody. Because this was an instruction that Meher Baba gave me directly to let the world know that he is God in human form. And I will carry this instruction to my grave and share Meher Baba with anyone, everyone who listens to his presence in our lives.
Beautiful. Wow. Victory is his.
Yes, indeed.
Beautiful. Yeah. So, um, so I really, I mean, I'm thrilled if you do this again, and we'll pick up the next phase of your life.
Okay.
And it would be beautiful. I mean, I know it's late for people on the East Coast, and it's late for you. What is your normal bedtime? You probably we got you up.
No, I sleep at 11:30 every day.
Oh, okay. So good. So we're not too late.
No, it's
Okay.
11. But
Any last thing that occurs to you?
I like to answer questions, and I will be happy to answer them perhaps next time. Or if there's any question that you want to ask now, one or two, I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah. Anyone have a question? Okay, we got one. Diane up in the upper left-hand corner.
Oh, Diana, yeah.
Hi, how are you? It's Diana Terry. What age were you when Baba gave you that directive to spread the word?
Which year? Which year? This was
Probably.
in 19, late 1968, 1969.
And how old were you then?
Kitla varas na ho to? 1968,
46. 1968. You were only 22?
No, it was not.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to. It was 1960. Yeah.
33.
Yeah. So how old?
32.
Yeah. Yeah.
22. 22.
22.
Oh, 22.
And I have to tell you, out of all your stories, your first day at work is one of my favorite ones.
Yes, my first day at work on the day Baba dropped his body. That's a long story that we'll share another time.
We got Alan up there. Alan's got a question for you.
Alan, what's your last name?
My last name is Manukian.
Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. Well, I came a little bit late, so I'm sorry, but I don't know if you described for you what I would just like to hear for you. What was it like to look into his physical eyes?
There is a whole story attached to this question, and it's related to my being in his presence in I'm blanking out on the year, Punama, in 1960, yeah, 1966, when I was in Baba's presence in Pune. And meeting Meher Baba was seeing him in the physical form was a very, it's an indescribable experience, because when you see Meher Baba externally, you see a heavy-set man. When I saw him after many years in Guru Prasad, he was sitting in a chair, bare-bodied from the waist up, and he was wearing a kind of a culottes. And it was a day when it was a morning that was allocated to me. And when I was meeting him after a very long time, so I took out my sandals, I walked in, and all I saw was him sitting on a chair. As I said, he was bare-bodied above the waist. He was wearing short culottes. And there were a group of men sitting around him whom I didn't notice when I walked in. I only saw him. And when I walked in and I saw him, I fell at his feet. I clutched his feet. I kissed his feet. I embraced him, and I kissed him on both the cheeks, and he kissed me on both the cheeks.
Mm.
And it was as if you were kissing a woman. His softness, his caress was very, very disarming. And it's something that you've never, it's as if you were kissing a woman on her cheek. That's the way you felt. But when you embraced him, I embraced him very gingerly, because he was not keeping good health. And I had been told not to crush him too hard. And so I was embracing him very gently, but he embraced me very, very firmly and very tightly, and asked me to sit down at his feet. And I held his feet and I kissed his feet. So perhaps next time I can narrate what happened at this meeting. At this meeting.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Jai Baba.
Is that the question you asked me?
Yes.
Alan?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. Yeah.
Great
Thank
question. Yeah, because that's a significant, same way for Robert Dreyfus, I think. You both had a similar experience. Yeah. Okay, so let's take one more question, but I think Mahu was before Jeff.
Jai Baba Mahu.
Yeah.
Jai Baba Naosherwan, it's so good to be with you and hear you, and it feels as my very old friend from way back is sitting here and sharing God with me.
Probably for many lifetimes, Mahu.
Yes. So Baba's blessing for sure, and I'm sure others may share the same feeling. My question is, as the years go by, and of course Baba left his body, but he gave you I would say, a duty or responsibility to carry on, to publish, to spread the word, to share him and the significance of his coming in this advent with others, which is not an easy task, I wouldn't think. But the quality of your work have always been excellent and the standard has always been very high, in my opinion. And it never got downgraded or, you just can't, you keep the torch and continue moving along and attending to this responsibility that Baba has given you. Now, I wanted to ask you, as the years go by, we're no longer young. We may have challenges, health, environment, family, this, that, although Baba says it's all illusion, but it may get to you at some point, or perhaps it's like slow us down. Have you had any of these challenges? And if you have, how did you deal with it? Because obviously it hasn't impacted your work or the outcome of your work.
This is a great question, simply because we all have challenges. We all have challenges in our lives in some area or the other. But I have been, I think, particularly fortunate in which I have kept a single-minded focus on doing Baba's work. I've taken it upon myself to, despite the obstacles, despite everything else, I've gone through life holding on to Baba's daman and asking him to help me share his name and his message with everyone I meet. Now, I've had the opportunity of working for the Times of India in India as a newspaperman, as a journalist. Later on, I joined Air India. Then I joined the United Nations. I had only, particularly in the United Nations, I had only one focus, that if I were to share work with somebody, I would also share Meher Baba's name. So I would, whether it would have its impact or not, I had a whole storyline in which somebody would ask me I would say, I'm a writer and I write books, and they would ask me, and what subject do you write books on? And that would give me an opening to say, on Avatar Meher Baba. So each one of us, in order to keep our focus on Meher Baba, must devise our own storyline. And it's extremely vital. It's very vital, irrespective of where those words land, to share Meher Baba's name with everyone you meet. Weave a story, keep a story, but you must make an effort to share Meher Baba's name, keeping at the back of your mind that you are not the messenger. You are just sharing his name with Meher Baba, with people. You are just simply a carrier of his name.
Yeah.
And that's what your duty is. And then you back off. But each one of us are carriers of his name. And that is a responsibility that Meher Baba has given to each one of us, to share his name. And then leave it between that individual and Meher Baba. That's between Meher Baba and that individual. But it is our responsibility to share his name with whoever we meet, because that's the greatest gift you can give to another person, is to share his name.
Beautiful. Yep. Yeah, you probably remember when Baba said, your duty is to bring my name to their ears and my duty is to bring my name from their ears to their heart. Remember that. Hey, let's have one last quote, and then we'll have a moment of silence. And then, Mayor Prasad, have you got a quote handy there, a Baba quote? Maybe we'll have Baba's words, or Naosherwan, if you have any of Baba's words, but.
I have a, yeah, I'll be happy to share that.
Okay. We'll get, sorry about that, Mayor Prasad.
No, go ahead, because perhaps next time I can share some of Baba's words to me.
Okay.
So let Mayor Prasad give.
If you have one, Naosherwan, please go ahead. I'd love to hear that.
These are, I have to select from Baba's words to me over a period of time. Okay. I'll give a short one. To obey the God-man is the highest form of worship to God in human form. Obey me implicitly if one day you want to know me as I am. The ocean of my love is yours to fill your heart with. This Baba wrote to me in a certain context.
Read it once again, and then we'll have a few moments of silence.
To obey the God-man is the highest form of worship to God in human form. Obey me implicitly if one day you want to know me as I am. The ocean of my love is yours to fill your heart with.
Jai Baba.
Jai.
Wow. Thank you so much, Naosherwan. You know, and really beautiful. Took us there with Baba, and you can feel it. I'm just so amazed that these gatherings on the screen can be so full and rich, and we're not even in each other's physical presence. You know, it's just incredible how Baba has found a way around this pandemic to continue his work of love and gatherings. Just astounding. So anyway, all that are here, we'll let you know next time when when Naosherwan will share.
Jai Meher Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Meher Baba Naosherwan ji. Jai Meher Baba.
Baba.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you.
Thank you,
Jeff.
Thank you, Naosherwan. Thank you so much, Naosherwan.
Thank you, Naosherwan.
Thank you, Naosherwan.
Jai Baba Naoshi.
Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba Naosherwan ji.
Jai
I'm
Baba.
very
Meher
happy.
Baba.
I'm
Jai
very
Meher
happy
Baba.
to hear you today because exactly 62 years back, on this day, on 12th April 1959, I had first time touched the lotus feet of Baba in Guru Prasad. It's Meher Chand Nori from Hyderabad.
Jai Meher Baba Meher Chand.
Meher Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. Was yesterday your birthday?
No, yesterday I just put this exactly 62 years back. I had touched Baba's lotus feet on 12th April 1959 at Guru Prasad
Right.
when my uncle was called, because my uncle was the instrument, one of the Baba's instructions. He did the trust deed, and trust deed came in 6th March. So on that occasion, my uncle was called. Uncle took me there.
Yes.
So I touched the lotus feet of Baba, and Baba touched my cheeks.
Ah.
Wow.
Do you
Next
still live in
time,
Bangalore?
No, I'm still staying in Hyderabad.
You're
Hyderabad.
staying in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
And next time, bring some questions for Naosherwan.
Yeah.
See if we can stump him.
Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Baba, Jeff. Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Ah, great.
Jai Baba
Thank
Nash.
you.
Thank you so
Jai
Everybody,
Baba
much.
Gal.
have a
Jai
nice
Baba,
sleep,
everyone.
those on the East Coast.
Jai
On the
Baba,
West Coast, you
everyone.
can have dinner.
Okay.
Come on, the East Coast.
Jai
Thank you,
Baba, Jeff.
Naosherwan. Thank you,
Thank you.
Naosherwan.
Haninath and Gopi also joined from Hyderabad.
Jai Baba.
और मेहर
Baba.
की
Jai.
Jai.
Avatar Meher
Baba
Baba
ki
ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki
Baba
jai.
ki Jai.
जय बाबा जय बाबा
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba, Jeff. My Ayana
Yeah.
keeps remembering it.
Jai Baba.
Your tour. Yeah.
There's
Yes,
a
thank you,
song
thank
from
you.
Bob Brown. Time to depart, time to depart. Go with Baba in your heart. Mansari says, and Nanak here too. Time to depart, one and all of you. Go on your way and take your prasad and go on your way. Come back again the very next day. Time to depart, time to depart. Go with Baba in your heart.
जय बाबा I remember that
Lovely. Jeff, that was wonderful.
Yes,
you have a
Thank
wonderful,
you.
wonderful voice.
Wonderful.
Wow, that's
Jai
great.
Baba.
Jeff,
That's
thank you
great.
so
Thank
much
you.
for setting this
Thank
up.
you.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, hey Goer, did you meet Baba?
Mute.
You met Baba.
Go ahead, you are on mute.
Would you? Oh, am I on mute? No. Would you
No, go
ever
ahead, is
like
on
to?
mute.
Would you ever like to share or just answer questions, or we'll get you sometime. We'll get you to come on, and yeah, that'd be beautiful. Just the way Naosherwan did.
Yes, please go. That would be wonderful.
Great. Yeah. There are not many of you left who met Baba, but I think we've all met Baba, but that was in our last lifetime. And we don't remember.
Go ahead. I have a company. I sell jewelry, handmade jewelry, and it's called Go Ahead Gems. Jewel Gems. Go Ahead Gems.
Okay, wow.
Jai Baba.
No
Hey,
one
Baba,
wants
Jeff.
to engage, Jeff.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and it'll be a pleasure anytime.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I'll let you know sometime because
Sure.
a lot of people haven't even heard the Baba stories, and
Yeah.
I mean, people who've met Baba, and it's
Sure.
always very touching. Yeah, and it'd
Would
be
love-
just like this, just very informal.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be lovely. Okay.
Oh, good.
Lovely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and
Baba.
it's great to hear them firsthand as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Enjoyed it,
Jai
Jeff. Thank
Baba.
Yeah, sure.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
I'm at the center in Myrtle Beach, in
Jai
Baba
Baba.
Center.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba. Thank you,
And
Jeff. once
Jessima
again. Thank
and
you.
Salaja,
Jai
thank
Sri.
you for. Are you the host and hostess?
I mean, yeah, we enjoy that.
Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
can't, but
Jai
you have
Baba.
to stay up late. That's.
No,
Oh,
don't.
Jai Baba.
hey,
Jai Baba, love
Lanita.
to.
Here's a great quote from Lanita. Do you give us that quote that you had the other day from Charlie Chaplin, Lanita?
Okay, Jeff, let me get it. Hold on, just a sec.
It's a beautiful quote from Charlie Chaplin.
Lanita, could you please post that on the chat or send it to me?
Sure. Let me find it here. It's here, right here on me. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Jeff, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. You need power. Only.
Mute, please.
Start again. Yeah.
You need power only when you want to do something harmful. Otherwise, love is enough to get everything done. You got Dinkle?
Read it once again.
You need power only when you want to do something harmful. Otherwise, love is enough to get everything done. Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
Good, good.
You
Well,
got
hey,
Dinkle?
Ganesh. Huh?
Yeah, Lanita, thank you. I'll write
Thank
it
you.
down some other time because
I will write this to you in your,
Yeah, thank you so
I
much.
text to you. I text you.
Okay,
I
If
put
you
it
need.
in the chat. I put it in the chat. If you want to save the chat, those three little dots down the bottom next to file, if you hit those,
Oh, yeah.
save the chat.
Oh.
It's right here.
Okay.
I can't find that on my iPhone.
You haven't got the whole thing. Love is enough to get everything done. It's missing the last few words in the chat. Whoever wrote in the chat.
Well.
Rainy, you wrote on the chat. You're missing the last few words. Enough to get everything done. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
You got it.
thank you, Rainey.
Yeah. So,
It
Jen
says
Doan, we
Ed
got
instead-
Jen Doan from Oregon. And
Hey,
Jay
Jeff,
from.
who read that? Who read some quote from, that was Erich gave a quote earlier.
Oh, yeah. Mayor Prasad read that.
Yeah, how can I find that? Where is that?
It's on the book.
It's in.
That's the way it was.
What was that?
That's how it was. That's where the.
Oh, okay. Well, do you know what page?
Yeah, it's page 256 to 257.
This is a very tomorrow, I mean, on Tuesday, I'll have you read that again because it's very good. Erich gives a very simple, clear, practical way to live for Baba.
Which book?
That's how it.
Oh, yeah.
It's very good.
Erich's talks are typed out by Judith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very helpful. Wow.
Well, I guess. I mean, Jaisima and Shalaja can't go to bed until we vacate the space.
Hey, are you ending these things sooner?
Well,
nowadays, Jeff?
No, I mean, I just thought that Naosherwan didn't want to keep him up and everybody up too late. Yeah.
Okay.
But normally we somehow go up till 12 o'clock before you know it. Time
Yeah, that's
flies.
my bedtime. Why not?
That
Jeff had
poem you read the other. Hey, well,
Yes,
can you read? You know that poem that you recited last time?
me?
Huh?
Who?
You.
Yes.
Can you recite that again? I mean, it's the beloved is.
Yes.
Yeah. This is very good.
1 sec, it's right here.
She was schooled by Francis Brabazon how to read poetry, how to recite it. And then we're gonna.
There it is, Jeff.
Yeah.
Signed.
Uh-huh.
Ah. It was so embarrassing to get them signed, but I did. Did you want all three or just one of them?
That one that you read, you sang a line of it and then you recited it.
Well,
And
there's
then-
3 guzzles in it. Will I just do the last one?
I guess. Go ahead. I can't remember which one you did.
Okay, I'll do, well, it's sort of like God speaks in 3 guzzles, actually, Alan. Alan, it's God speaks in 3 guzzles.
What was that? God speaks in 3 guzzles?
Yeah, what God speaks in 21 lines.
Wow.
For me, when I was young and terrified of God speaks, this set everything in place. Oh, it's awful to break it up, but I'll do the last one. It's a song cycle, A through G, and it was written for Meher Baba's last birthday, February 25th, 1968. And Francis sang it and recited it and presented it to Baba at Merazad, February 25th, 1968. The 3 guzzles now, though, even though this book's out of print, are in The Beloved is All in All, reprinted without the little song in between, and they're page 70, 71, and 72. Eternal Ancient One, sun behind the sun, lighting all our days and ways, finisher of what you have begun. We set out in the long ago, in the dawn of creation. We set out singing in a sort of new jubilation. We had every reason to rejoice, for we had just left your presence. Ah, beloved, we had no idea there'd be a billion years absence. A conducted tour of space with the stars as our guides, we thought. Oh God, no excursion ticket was ever so dearly bought. Presently, Earth loomed before us with a notice board saying, "Your trip ends here." And the angel part of us fled, and the man part stayed rooted in fear. But we knew that we would have to take up the load of birth, that we were children no longer, but men to inhabit earth. And soon, it now seems, you, beloved, came swinging down the road, calling your bright call. The lover is only his own imagination. The beloved is all in all. Once we were children singing anthems and praises before the throne of the Lord. Now we are the love street singers filling in time, awaiting your lovely word. Eternal Ancient One, word by whom is done, all which has been and will be, the finisher of what you have begun.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Jai
So
Baba.
we're at the last stop, huh? Earth.
Earth, your trip
Last stop.
ends here.
Get off the bus.
Get off. Stop it.
Good night.
I've got a friend who calls him the Stop It Avatar. Stop it. Your trip ends here.
Okay, well, I think it's time to go on this coast. On the West Coast, you still have a few RTs and some hymns and things to sing and prayers and everything, but we are entitled to go below the covers and leave it all behind.
Nighty night.
Yep, Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba,
Baba.
everybody. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Today's recording available?
Jai Baba.
Yeah, it will
Jai
be.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
It will be
Welcome in
available.
group.
Jai Baba.
Yeah,
Share Jan.
it will be shared.
Jai Baba, Jai Sima.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Thank you. Jai Simaji.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Jeff.
Prakash
Jai
Garu.
Baba. Jai Baba, everyone.
Jai Baba, sir. Jai Baba, everyone.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.